This has got to be, by far, one of the craziest and most confusing descriptions of God in the Bible. Why does God lie in order to kill a king? 1 Kings 22 is one of the most bizarre passages you'll find in the entire Bible. God in this story conducts a celestial assassination brainstorming session. God needs help in order to come up with a plan to assassinate one man. This God is delighted to lie. God feels extra human, like a king in Game of Thrones. Are you ready? Oh, by the way, Octavio, nice to meet you. The passage begins by telling us that there was peace for 3 years between the people of Israel and the people of a place called Aram. Well, that was until a dude called Ahab, who happened to be the king of Israel at that time, said, look at that land. That land they called Aram. We used to call it Ramoth Gilead, and historically that used to be a piece of Israel. I think I want it back. So he went to knock on the door of his neighbor, the king Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, to ask him to help defeat Aram. And Jehoshaphat was like, yeah, totally, dude. But I think we should first seek the counsel of the Lord. So the king of Israel brought together the prophets, about 400 men, and asked them, shall I go to war against Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain? Go, they answered, for the Lord will give Ramoth Gilead into the king's hands. But Jehoshaphat asked, is there no longer a prophet of the Lord here whom we can inquire of? Jehoshaphat did not trust those 400 prophets, to the point that he did not call them prophets of the Lord. So they went and brought a prophet under the name of Micaiah. We will call him Micaiah, just for the sake of the video. Unbeknownst to all of them, Micaiah had already had a vision of the whole event. Therefore, hear the word of the Lord, said Micaiah. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, with all the multitudes of heaven standing around him on his right and on his left. And the Lord said, who will entice Ahab into attacking Ramoth Gilead and go into his death there? One suggested this, and another that. Finally, a spirit came forward and stood before the Lord and said, I will entice him, I will lie to him. By what means? asked the Lord. I will go out and be a deceiving spirit, a lying spirit in the mouths of all his prophets, he said. You will succeed in enticing him, aka lying to him, said the Lord. Go and do it. Go and lie to them. So now the Lord put a deceiving spirit, a lying spirit in the mouths of all these prophets of yours. The Lord has decreed disaster for you. Whenever we think of portrayals or pictures that the Bible paint of God, most of us think of the God who created Adam and Eve, the God who brought Israel out of slavery, the God who helped the Israelites conquer the promised land, and the ultimate portrayal of God, Jesus himself, the humble lover. But we seldom think about this other portrayal, biblical portrayal of God, God the scheming assassin. So, what do we know of the God portrayed in this story? Well, to start, the God in this story conducts a celestial assassination brainstorming session. And apparently, God needs help in order to come up with a plan to assassinate one man. This God is delighted to lie to Ahab in order to get him killed. And the God in this story thinks that this is the best plan they can all the celestial beings can come up with. That's plan A. Much better than a simple cardiac arrest, stroke, or Thanos snap. Apparently, the best plan is to go and lie to him to entice Ahab to go into the front line so somebody kills him. He basically pulled a David. He devised a plan in order to get this man in the front lines for somebody to kill him. This God feels extra human, like a king in Game of Thrones. Did you notice that Micaiah tells on God? He snitched on God. Why don't we see an all-powerful God being portrayed here? You know, a God who can instantly make fire rain from heaven, give somebody leprosy, terminal cancer, or simply turn him into a pillar of salt. We don't even have an all-knowing God in this story. So what on earth do we do with this story? Well, I think it boils down to this. We should take the Bible seriously. So seriously indeed that we should let each passage and each author speak for themselves. We should read those stories on their own terms and to try to understand what each story and each author is trying to express of God, of the world, and humanity. To take the Bible seriously means to restrain ourselves from thinking that every person in the Bible, every author in the Bible thought of God in the exact same way. That, for example, thinking that every author in the Bible thought of God as all-powerful, or that God could be in all places at all times, or that he was absolutely all-knowing. The Bible is a collection of stories of people who experienced God things differently and who had different theologies of God, mainly based off of their unique experiences of God. In these stories, this way of doing theology is our inheritance. Well, that is if you consider yourself a Christian or even a Jew. These stories have become a gift to us. For example, whenever you imagine God dealing with your prayers, do you ever imagine God sitting on his throne and asking all of the council in heaven, hey everybody, Jessica's asking for help with her exams. What do you think we should do? Have you ever thought of God as a being who needs a brainstorming session to come to a conclusion, to come with a solution? No? Well, me neither. That is because you and me think of God very differently than most biblical authors. And that is great. If you grew up in church like me, part of the magic of the Bible was exactly this. That even though the Bible encompasses thousands of years and multiple authors, it miraculously did not contradict itself. And that is one of, if not the ultimate proof that the Bible is indeed the Word of God. The greatest evidence that the Bible was written by God. But the thing is that it only takes reading the Bible as an adult, and I mean all of the Bible, not just the greatest hits, to know that this is not true. And if you are like me, in this point in my life, I don't need the Bible to be magical. I really don't. I don't need to believe in a magical Bible in order to believe in God and to know that they love me and love you. I actually need the Bible to be what it is, real. To know that I'm part of this long tradition of men and women who had experiences of God and did their absolute best to make sense of them and to pass them along. Those people and many others are my spiritual forefathers and mothers. It is in their shoulders that my current beliefs stand. And like with anything that you inherit, customs, beliefs, cultures, etc., I don't have to agree with everything they said or did. For example, I don't believe God lies, even though the prophet Micaiah clearly does. I don't believe that God ever commanded genocide, nor that God was okay with slavery, as opposed to all of the authors in the Old Testament and New Testament. And you, my friend, are more than free and invited to do the same, to disagree with your forefathers and foremothers. And yes, you can still remain a Christian if you do. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So if you liked this video and this type of content, please let me know and subscribe and like this video. And don't forget to click on this playlist. It's full of videos about how to read the Bible better. Click over there and I'll see you there.